I got a call on August the 4th of 2017 at 7:07 p.m. that changed my life and my family's life forever. I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And to have been in the battle and gone through 6 months of chemotherapy every 2 weeks for 48 hours, I think it tests your will to live. It plays a lot of mind games. I had unbelievable support from the Blackhawks, who I was working for at the time as a broadcaster, and my family, my wife Diana. We've been married, 38 years, and I would have quit if it wasn't for her, because the therapy and the challenge of going through this disease, not only physically but mentally, it broke me down. Like I said, it tests your will to live, and I had awful side effects, and I had never quit at anything, Bree, in my life. I mean, when people told me I would never make the NHL because I was an American-born kid from Chicago, people told me I wouldn't make the U.S. Olympic hockey team as a 16-year-old and play in the Olympics in 17. I've never quit at anything in my life, but I was ready to quit. And the just the side effects, it broke me. And my wife grabbed me and gave me the greatest inspirational speech I ever had. And I've been in a lot of locker rooms, and I've been around a lot of people that are motivators. And we had a conversation for 25 minutes, and I cried for 30 of it. And my wife told me, "You got to fight. You got to fight for me, you got to fight for our kids, and you got to fight for all the people that love you." And I needed that at my lowest. And I never saw my wife down. I never saw her worried around me. But I'm sure she let her guard down and wondered what was going to happen. Was I going to die? Did we not? Nobody knew. But the one thing, and I think the heart of your question, and getting back to what my wife said was, so what I did was I put my hockey helmet back on, and I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go day to day. I'm going to rinse and repeat. I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to have bad days, but you know what? Because I was thinking about it, Bree. I was trying to get through my second treatment when I was ready to quit. I still had 10 to go. How am I going to get through those 10? So I had a reset. And okay, I'm just going to try to get through today. And then when I get through today, I'm going to get through tomorrow. So that was kind of my approach. But I think the one thing that I did learn about myself is that I was way tougher than I ever thought I was. And if I didn't have that support from my wife or from NBC at the time or the Blackhawks, I don't think I would be where I am today. I really don't. I will say this, is that knowing what I know now about the disease and being a part of the National Hockey League and being one of their Hockey Fights Cancer champions, I'm glad I'm the one that got sick. Because of knowing the day-to-day that goes on is when you are in the battle, not only physically and taking the medicine, but also the psychological part of it. And my wife and I mean, we try to make sure is that people not only have to check on the person that's sick, but also check on the caretakers and caregivers. How are you doing? You're going through a lot too. My wife was going through obviously a boatload, but was anybody checking on her, asking her, are you okay? So for me, it's been a battle. I mean, I'm so lucky that I was able to beat it, and in March of 2018, I got the clean and clear, and but it's always going to be with me the rest of my life. And I've written a book and talked a lot about the battle, but at the end of the day, is if I can inspire one person learning about my battle, Bree, then it was well worth somebody hearing about my story.
And with that, what is your message to people, like with early detection and kind of being on top of that?
Look, I think everybody I feel in learning, everybody, you need to know your own body. You need to see and feel signs. If you're not feeling good, or if something is not right, if something is off, you need to raise your hand and say, hey, I need some medical help. I need to get some guidance. Putting it off is not going to help the situation. And I think that to understand is you're not alone as well. there's plenty of help. Get detection early if you can, but whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be cancer, Bree. It could be anything. Is if you know that you're just not feeling right, get peace of mind. Because I've had, unfortunately, friends of mine that have waited and waited and waited, and all of a sudden they're right in the middle of the battle. You know, for me, it was colon cancer. Make sure you're getting a colonoscopy when the age permits itself. If you have a family member that's in the battle, like my boys are at an age now where they will be checked 10 years earlier than the recommended age of 45. Because when I was sick, it was 50. It was 50. It's been lowered now 5 years because it's much more rampant now than it's ever been before. So, but I would encourage anybody out there, regardless of what it is just to make sure that you have the courage and to say, hey, it's okay if you're not feeling good, to let somebody know and make sure that you get the proper medical advice going forward. So I learned a lot about myself. The friendships and the people that checked on me helped me get through my most difficult time. But the one thing I will say on it is that, you know, I guess going back to really the heart of your question is like, how do I look at things now since I'm on the right side of the grass since my battle? Is I think that one thing it did for me personally, Bree, was where I was in my life. When I put my head down at night, I was taught at a very young age is always let the most important people in your life know how you feel about them. Tell them you love them. Send them a text. Pick up the phone. Go see them. Give them a hug. Because tomorrow is not given for anybody. I don't care. It doesn't matter what it is. I was very much at peace when I was going through my battle, because if I never opened up my eyes again during my battle, at least my family knew how I felt about them. And the people that meant the most to me knew how I felt about them. And I think that helped me get through. So do I look at things differently now, like when my plane is late or I'm sitting on the 5 and there's traffic and I can't get up? You know, I mean, that doesn't bother me anymore as much as it did. But I think me going through my battle, I think all it did is it reassured me is that I was in a pretty damn good place when I was sick. And there was something about having that comfort and knowing that, God forbid, if I didn't open my eyes up again, is that at least my family knew how I felt about them. And that helped me get through my most difficult time of my life. And like I said, I just like to inspire one person if I can and say, hey, if that old broken down hockey player and horse player can do it, well then, you know what, I can do it too. And that was probably one of the main reasons why I eventually wrote my book, and to try to help somebody out there that it doesn't even have to be cancer, it could be anything. So I think for me it was very therapeutic to be able to do that and to know of helping people. But the one thing I would add is I wish I would have known about before I finished the book was, as a survivor, I am dealing with survivor's guilt. And that is something that I am getting help on, and know that it is something that is very real. Because when I get contacted a lot by people that are battling the disease or have family members that are battling, when somebody isn't able to survive, that is very tough to absorb. And my loved one didn't make it, but you did, and that's hard. And unfortunately, I've had friends and family members that have been in the battle and haven't been able to come out on the right side of it, and it's a part of the process. And like I said earlier, Bree, I'm going to deal with this the rest of my life. And look I hopefully continue to stay clean and clear, but there's still the psychological part of it. And when I walk into Northwestern Hospital back in Chicago, where I had my treatments and have my checkups, I'm like one of my 2 labs, you know, Daisy and Lily, who are 8.5 years old, and were right there with me, and they knew I was sick, you know, and I think they gave me some of their sense of when I go back into the hospital, you know, you have that, just that feeling of going back to a place that was really difficult. And but like I said, I would not have made it. I would not be here today if it wasn't without my family and my friends, and you know, Ronnie. I mean, check on me all the time, and Johnny. That meant a lot, and I mean, I try to do the same thing now to people that I have a relationship with.